everybody. Welcome to the Tapped Out Podcast Network. I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How the heck are you, buddy?
Well, I'm frustrated. Vince Russo was able to buy a stake of Juggalo Championship Wrestling before I was. And so now I have been cheated by Vince Russo once again.
Well, at least you got the saving grace that he's not working for the NWA like we had heard and thought over the weekend. Hey, that story broke, man, and I was like, really?
Bro.
But listen, hold on now. In hindsight, might not have been the worst thing. That's a hot take, right? It might not have been the worst thing to happen if Vince Russo had signed on and to book for him, but
I don't mean to put down any of our friends that work there, but it seems a lot like Vince Russo is writing for him right now based on what I saw at the live show in Atlanta. Sorry, friends.
I don't know that they would be offended by that. I mean, to be honest with you, because I don't know what they have in control as far as creative and stuff like that. That's a whole conversation in itself, Myron. But anyway, man, hey, before we get started, because we have a slam-packed show, lots of stuff to look forward to. Actually, a few topics we're going to kind of follow up from last week. Some things have changed, as we say. But before we dive into that, we always try to recommend you sign up over on the Patreon, man. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod. It's where you're going to get the show notes. And look, this week, I promise you, way more notes than what we're going to be able to get through on each specific topic, some details, some analytical information and stuff in there. But also remember, at the $5 level, you get the shows early, the weekly shows. At the $10 level, you get anything we ever do early, as well as the digital version of the exclusive Patreon Tapped Out Collectibles. And then at the $25 level, of course, you're going to get the 8.5x11. Cruel was the featured wrestler this past month. Doubled up, by the way. On top of that, you got two covers of the 8. You had a regular version and then a variant cover as well. So you doubled the pleasure, doubled the fun this month. And I made an argument, a case of you couldn't have bought those off of his merch table for that price. It would have actually cost you more. So you got all the perks of being a Patreon member for free. So you probably can start seeing the value. We've already secured who next month is going to be. Had a conversation, locked that up. And the good news is, folks, I've already locked up December as well. I've actually
moves.
Half of December's already half. And notice I said half, so that'll tell you a little secret that maybe you should be aware of.
That sounds good.
But, man, let's jump right into it. We start off every week here on the Tapped Out Podcast Network, Myra. We kind of get together. We kind of look back at the week and say, hey, we watched, a lot of wrestling on, every single week between AEW, NXT, WWE, all the above. What caught your eye this week? Anything specific?
The shoe show. And I don't mean the traditional shoe show. I mean the shoe show where WWE has a person walking in shoes out. And I looked carefully at those shoes to determine who it was, Nick.
Well, now there's 6 of them out. There's 6 vignettes now been released. And the latest ones, I think, is the obvious giveaway with the hands on the chair, kind of like setting the chair up. Clearly, it's short, stubby little fingered hand with a Hall of Fame ring on. Only one hand that seems to fit that. That would be one Paul Heyman.
Little Paul and his sausages.
So, obviously we've seen the blue jeans and the boots, probably a clear giveaway. Here's where I wanted to sidebar off a little bit and go, does it though? Are all of the dress pants and shoes, are they all Heyman? Because I don't, the other
I thought based on the quality of the shoes, they would be Gunther to get ready for John Cena's last match. I thought this was all Gunther. This is perfect logic. And then the cowboy boots. And the little fingers. I think I'm wrong.
What if Gunther's the fourth man? What if it's Brock, Gunther, Bronson, and Braun as a group, the 4 of them, and it's not just 3? We're not just adding. That's an interesting twist, because then that can set up a team Gunther versus team Cena, or team the Vision, and add Cena. We always try to figure out how do we get to the mix, and what if that mix is somehow CM Punk, LA Knight, John Cena, insert like maybe Cody Rhodes or something like that in there. Versus it's a 4-on-4. No, because then you get Brock, Gunther, Bronson, and Braun, and just do 4. Don't do 5-on-5. It's 4-on-4.
I'm so confused because
Yeah,
that's
I
a
mean, I'm
story.
sure.
It's a storyline that I'm interested in, so I can't wait to see it is. Could it be possibly Chris Jericho?
I just don't think so. I know that's been out there. Let's get into that a little bit. Chris Jericho, everybody's saying like, hey, he's a free agent, etc. He's free at the end of the year, whatever. Hell, who knows when his contract's up? Apparently, contracts are a thing we're back worried about. Ask Andrade, over the past week. Look, there was a rumor that he might have been part of the vignette, like the walking back in the boots when they first, or the little dress shoes and everything that could WWE force him to come back? And I was like, I
Right.
don't
So,
think so. Not if he was fired.
no, I don't think he's coming back.
But back to the Jericho thing, it's heated up probably as hot as it's been in a long time. And my questions would be simply like, I know people are out there saying like, hey, he could probably want to do stuff in New Japan or do something with CMLL or whatever. And my argument would be, it boils down to two things: WWE, AEW, right? That's the logical sense.
Mm-hmm.
What's the case for each? That's the $1 million question: is what's the case for each? And I think,
Also, I
what's
think
that?
also he's already booked a lot of his crews for 2026. There's going to be a lot of AEW talent on it already. I mean, he's not going to be able to get WWE talent on that cruise because they're going to be. It would have to be the WWE cruise. So, no, it won't work.
I think because it's all pre-existing, they probably are just gonna have to let it fly. It is what it is.
Pre-existing condition.
Yeah, I mean maybe. Because look, I think when it comes down to, let's start with there. By the way, AEW, obviously Tony Khan could match any offer WWE/TK is going to offer. The creative control he has there over what he would have. We would love to say it's but this is a new day. It's a new era in WWE. He might have a little more flexibility with Triple H. They're letting John supposedly book a lot of his own stuff. So maybe it's the same case with the Chris Jericho. I boiled it down to, it's AEW's probably cash and creative. WWE's probably more nostalgia. Now, I want to ask you this part, though, because if he wants to do some other things, because Jericho was he did a AAA run. He did a Mexico run.
Yeah.
Would that be something that's on his way out the door? Or does he like, hey, I want a Hall of Fame, ending run in WWE, but I get to do some stuff in AAA. I can do some stuff in NXT if I want to. I can do stuff on the main roster. I get a farewell tour like they're clearly giving John Cena, like they're going to give AJ Styles, like, and on and on. Now, not as long probably, but if you go there knowing that, it wouldn't be unheard of.
If you have a setup pitch to you, be like, here's what you get if you come back. XXXX, you get the wrestle here, wrestle there, do that, and then we'll plan all this out for you. I can't see why not. I mean, if that's what you want to end. But wrestlers are artists.
There's the part. The thing the only major obstacle that I think that it gets in the way of anything WWE wants to do with Chris Jericho, we're going to move on because I didn't plan on spending this much time on it, is the cruise. It's concerts, it's touring, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know that he's going to get that kind of time in WWE unless they're like, hey, we want you for 6 dates and that's it. Like, you hit these pay-per-view or these PLEs and some, appearances along the way. Other than that, we don't need you here every week. You're an attraction for the next year. But other than that, he's got too much stuff going on. But I know also you were hyped. You caught up with Halloween Havoc, and you had a lot of cool stuff you wanted to hit on.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun. It started out with a tag team match where there were two AAA guys facing an NXT and a TNA talent. Do you ever thought you'd see that in a WWE ring?
No.
3 guys from other promotions, technically. Wow. And then the Hardys lose. Well, yeah, there were 4 other guys, and they had the WWE and the TNA belt, so it made sense. I love the broken gimmick. I love the Bray Wyatt Fiend thing Jeff Hardy did. It was really cool. Blake Monroe was a massive catch for them. She's phenomenal in the ring. Tatum Paxley is going to be a hot one. A good property for them. So I look forward to seeing what they're going to do with all this.
Yeah, it was a good transition show. Moved, 3 belts. Some people should argue they could have probably or should have done 4. they put the title back on Trick, but I thought Ricky's going to hold that for a while. But
Trick.
I understand some of
I'm
the
so bored with Trick Williams. Sorry, that's me. Bored.
I mean,
I'm over him.
all right.
But
Well, a lot of
what
people
else?
also, by the way, was in AEW. A lot of people were saying they were over the Death Riders. This whole thing with Moxley and all in his group. It seems like we're starting to get a little of the tensions, the impending possible crumble. Moxley's been kind of going a little crazy since he lost to Darby at Wrestle Dream. So I think we're kind of heading in that right direction. Maybe we're going to get something new to refresh and wash that. That'd be a cool thing just to get a new coat of paint on it. But the main thing I wanted to hit on about them, though, is Darby kind of planting his flag on Dynamite this past week. Yes, folks, we record on Tuesday, so we're kind of a week behind, so keep that in mind. Darby clearly is being painted as the flag bearer for AEW. And, he was always, one of the four pillars of AEW during the whole start in their growth. But now looking back, I wanted to ask, now does the Sting rub just make so much more sense that he's clearly built as he's the flag bearer?
Yeah, if you're going to rub anybody with Sting, why not rub it on somebody you put a lot of importance in? So, you're making a guy. You didn't have to make Moxley that much. You didn't have to make any of the other ones that much. You make him with Sting, put your emphasis on him, and he's over. He's massively over. People love the guy. And he takes time off to climb Mount Everest. He's a really unique individual.
And listen, we're going to have an opportunity if you're in the Atlanta area to actually see him in person here in Atlanta. We'll talk about that a little bit in the Making the Drive sections. But let's jump into, obviously this weekend on a national level, Saturday night main event's kind of one of the big, things going down this weekend on Saturday, obviously the 1st. They're going to crown the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion since they vacated that title with Seth Rollins. They kind of had all of their stories built to now. It is Jey Uso versus CM Punk. Story in this one is that, a lot of people are kind of asking the questions where Jay and Jimmy and Roman are kind of starting to cross paths again. Jay, he doesn't have time. He doesn't need the voices. He doesn't need to hear from all the noise, blah, blah, blah. 2 questions, Myron, but from this one match to me are relevant.
Mm-hmm.
1, should they make CM Punk the champion? And 2, do they need to turn Jey Uso in this match? Because they've teased it enough.
CM Punk should be champion, in my opinion. Jay has had the champion. They're both technically faces, so somebody's going to have to, face versus face. Somebody's going to have to get the bad end, in my opinion. I think it's probably going to be Jay that loses. A heel turn will be so vague because you've got the MFTs or MFers or whatever that group is called with Solo Sikoa, his brother. And then if he heels turns and he doesn't stay, he turns on his brother, Jimmy, who I think right now has been phenomenally interesting. Right now, I think Jimmy's a lot more interesting than Jay. But a build up to a Jay and Roman match where he has to bring him back into the family. He doesn't listen to the tribal chief. That might be interesting.
I am intrigued by a Jey Uso heel turn who was then embraced by Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns dibs him OTC2. I have always said you were the one. Remember, because even when that bloodline was going, Jay was always anointed as the next one.
Yeah.
And now, full circle, does Roman, because Roman technically, in a weird way, never changed his gimmick. We all changed, whether we were cheering him versus the normal fan, not the internet fan. The normal fan, whether they cheered him or booed him. That's all that changed. So now, does Roman go, you finally come around? Now you have earned your spot.
That's very logical. That's very logical based on the backstage vignettes they've had. I'll be fascinated. This is something I want to watch. It's not even a pay-per-view. It's a show I want to watch. It's going to be on regular TV on a big night for college football. It's going to be stuck in there. I think it's going to be great. This is the last one before Cena's big
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. The next Saturday night main event is the Cena one. Yeah,
So I think this is pretty cool, man. I'm
yeah.
hyped about it.
Also on the show, obviously Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre for the undisputed WWE Championship. Hot take: it's time. Drew needs to beat Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but I'm so bored with Drew. I'm sorry. Maybe it's his
That's why he
promo.
needs to beat him. You know why you're bored with him?
Why?
Because he always comes that close and he always comes up short in all the big matches. Drew needs this win. That's why I think you shock the world and you have him beat Cody. So I don't care how he does it because Drew's got to get momentum back. And I think Cody's had the title long enough now.
Makes sense.
That's the route I would go. Look, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But if it were me, that's kind of what I would do. But, that's just me fantasy booking.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, par on course for the same for this next match. Tiffany Stratton's defending the women's championship against Jade Cargill. Wash, rinse, repeat what I just said.
Yeah, they haven't made Jade Cargill enough. She hasn't got. I thought she was doing great. Then she's been off TV for a while. The Naomi bit was great, but then your big rival gets pregnant. So what are they going to do with you? So maybe this is it. This heel thing with Tiffany Stratton, because Tiffany Stratton is. Watch her more. She's a phenomenal wrestler.
Here, I agree, but my hot take on it: she's grown stale because they've just been repetitive feuds, and then it's like I think she's stalling, and the heel comeback and I know this sounds really silly. The scar on Cargill makes the heel. Like it adds a flavor to the heel. And I think this is an opportunity to do some phenomenal stuff with Jade Cargill, make her the champion.
This is my second. Keep someone out of this match. Keep Nia Jax out of this match. As much as I love her, Nia Jax. The next match is also my do not interfere match.
The Intercontinental Championship, Dominic Mysterio will take on Rusev and Penta in a triple threat. Just for the record, I got a feeling we're going to have all kinds of interference in it, but that's just my appearance.
I don't
based
want
on
the Americanos, or is that what they're called? Is with the
Los
team
Americanos.
all together? Los Americanos. You got to keep them out of this. I want to see this because this could be a phenomenal match. Two luchadors and Rusev. This could be really interesting, but don't overbook it. Don't overbook it.
Probably will. Let's just go with that. If all things come in, they probably will. If you ask me, looking back, I'm going to pick. I probably will say Punk will win. Drew McIntyre. Here's the crazy thing: I almost want to crown new champs.
All through across the board, crowning new champ.
Except for Dom. I leave Dom. He's the only one.
He's phenomenal. He's, to me, one of the best wrestlers they have, Nick.
Yeah, and the humor, like the interactions with him and Adam Pearce backstage last night when he's caught talking to Los Americanos, he's like, "Man, I told him it wasn't a good idea. I don't know what they were thinking," and just played it off like I tried to talk him out of it. They just did it anyway. Like he didn't have anything.
No English.
Yeah, exactly. Dom's on a roll, and love him being the heel that he's being. Next thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to follow up a little bit. When we recorded literally last week, right as we were recording, all kinds of stories were coming out on internet websites, about basically the WWE ESPN, deal wasn't going very well. ESPN was disappointed, etc. Basically claimed they were underperforming, so ESPN wasn't. They were unhappy. They also were talking about how the Netflix deal's it's not working and da da da. But basically, as always, typically seems to happen in the internet wrestling community, it's come out that it was basically a bunch of BS. And it was, ESPN's come out since then and was like, hey, partnership's going well. It's not a flop. It's, I think what they see them, I think both, let's go with in the grand scheme of, don't believe all the junk that's going around.
Don't believe first anything. That's the way people do right now. They get you with a headline, and then you're supposed to click on it. And the headline is vague, and it shows a picture of somebody else half the time. Wait until it's been processed through people who do their due diligence, like us, Busted Open, stuff like those guys, and make sure you get their true story. Because this is garbage coming out on the internet quickly and somebody taking it and running with it. Maybe it's not been what they wanted 100%, but it's a deal that's going to pay off for ESPN, which is a brand new service technically, isn't it?
Oh, it
It's just,
literally launched in August
yeah.
or
Okay.
September,
So,
whatever it was. Yeah, yeah.
so what kind of
in
metrics do
August,
they
yeah.
know right now? You know,
So here's my thing is, it's like, can they have high expectations and hopes when it launches? Sure. But to say it's disappointing, I'm like, it hasn't been around long enough. They're playing the long game. And most of these services, that's what they're doing. And, what ESPN, I think, legit wants, I don't know that we're going to find out until more of these weird seasons. What I mean by that is college football season, they would have been fine without WWE because they're going to have a bunch of football games on there.
yes.
But where it comes into play is when the college and the NFL season are over, college basketball hasn't quite picked up yet. Baseball's kind of whatever, because we're not quite in spring training or whatever. If WWE holds subscribers those months because they want to watch the PLEs or whatever, success. Exactly the same concept we talked about with Netflix. You and I had a conversation about it. Netflix is saying it's helped reduce churn. Churn is a huge thing in the subscriber world.
Churn is going to turn into that magic number that people put a lot of stock into. It's like, I'm going to get this service and I'm going to keep it because WWE doesn't have a season. WWE is going to be there all the time. And they have these flashy PLEs now on ESPN I want to watch. Or I want to watch things on Netflix, because Netflix by far is the best platform for professional wrestling, in my opinion. But if they keep subscribers and they follow what Netflix has done, my God, Netflix has been so successful for it. It's always in their top shows when I log in.
Yeah, it's averaging.
It's averaging great. It's keeping that churn down. And if you hold subscribers, it might be the point where gaining subscribers might not be the thing that attracts people. It's the holding subscribers.
Right.
And wrestling.
How many friends of ours do we know? Because I have several that I get regular, like, how the new season for X is coming out, so I got to resubscribe, and then I'll binge watch it, and then I'll cancel it. So they'll hold a service for a month. And what they want is they want hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people to just say, like, hey, we're just going to keep it because we want to watch the PLEs every month. Or we watch Raw every week out of habit, so we're just going to keep Netflix, just to have. Even if you're not – I was telling somebody, let's say hypothetically, if you were Netflix, let's use an example. Hey, I usually cover I'm the premium, the no ads, all the pack, whatever, 26, whatever the hell dollars it is. But during the months or whatever that you're only keeping it for WWE, you drop to the ad version for like $8. Okay, they're still keeping you at $8 versus losing it all.
Yeah. No season for professional wrestling. The thing my wife bitches so much about. Constant content, 12 months out of the year, predictable, there, flashy. It's always flashy to get people. You don't have uniforms like Cody Rhodes' fancy uniform. When you go over Netflix and you see it, and there's one of those flashy wrestlers dressed up. It makes sense. If it's holding, it's going to hold.
And here's my biggest push when I push back on people. When they complain about, but Raw's not always good or whatever, I go, but the problem is the month you cancel and you don't have Netflix and you're not watching Raw, that's a month they get hot and you miss and everybody's like, I can watch it on Raw. I get the viewing habits are different. Things are times are different. We've talked about it all the time and I completely agree. But there's nothing like watching, wrestling live, in my opinion, in the grand scheme of things.
I hate looking for spoilers. Looking at Facebook is like, God Almighty! Why?
No, you hate getting spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah, if I don't watch, you're going to get spoiled. So, folks, watching live is so much better. So much better.
I agree. Other thing I wanted to jump in, I know, look, this is a hot to bed topic. Look, it hits me home. It hits up and close and personal. I legit wanted to go see John Cena's last match. Wife had even okayed it. Like, hey, look, if the tickets are in a reasonable price, she trusts me with what a reasonable price is. And by the way, as of today, I don't believe it is. Hey, I was going to go watch this thing. ticket prices just continue to skyrocket, and it was a conversation that came up because Raj Giri and Eric Bischoff and Conrad Thompson had a conversation about it on last week's 83 Weeks. And I was like, dude, like I said, it just hit close to home because I 100% agree. They just keep raising the ticket prices. They just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing the envelope. And I know the average, I get it, folks. I'm not defending them here. Everybody's saying they're just pricing the family, they're pricing, but as their defense has become, TKO has come out and kind of said, we're just catching up with like the UFC, with concert events, other live, entertainment. We're just catching up to the game.
If you don't like the prices, don't buy the tickets. Hey, end of story. If you don't like the prices, don't buy the tickets. If you're complaining about ticket prices and buying tickets, okay, I give it that. If you're a ticket buying person complaining about the prices, you were in a queue just trying to get in to get tickets for some of these Cena shows. You had to sit in a queue just to be able to try to get to the thing. It's working. When you quit buying tickets, people will lower prices. But every time I tune into a WWE program, they say a sold out arena, now, I know it's not 100% sold out, but every seat I see has somebody in it.
Well, listen, and sold out. I mean, I think it's a percentage they're allowed to be sold out technically, but they're up year over year. Ticket sales are up, and look, they're doing it from a business standpoint of, if we're not pushing the envelope, we're not going to find what the threshold is. If you put tickets on sale and the show sells out in 2 hours, your tickets were underpriced. Because guess what's going to happen, Myron? StubHubs and the scalpers, they're going to get the tickets and they're going to make the money, and the tickets are still going to be priced drastically high because the demand's there. It's just kind of how it works. But they're up, so it's hard to argue they're too expensive if they're still just selling tickets hand over fist. John Cena's last I checked, the story is they believe it's going to it is expected to break the arena record for the highest grossing ticket sale event in an arena. And I'm like, no shit. Cheapest ticket right now is like $400 to get in, and that's the 400 section. I'm not going to pay that. But you know what? Kudos to them for getting it. That's all I can say on that whole story, man.
If you don't like it, quit buying. Okay? If you don't like it, quit watching. It's real simple, folks. Don't bitch unless you're paying for it. You don't have a right to say in this.
Now, look, I disagree with that. You have every right to complain if you think the tickets are too high, and I 100% agree that just go ahead and complain because they are. But I think there has to be some understanding as to the why. When's the last time you went to a concert or a comedian in an arena? These got the Nate Bargatze's of the world selling arenas out constantly or whatever. They're expensive. They just are. When my daughter was trying to go to Taylor Swift, tickets were ridiculously, stupidly expensive. Right up there. So I just think, again, I'm not agreeing with it. I think it's ridiculous. I do think the prices are ridiculous, but at some point you have to decide, is the experience worth it? And if it is, it is.
And they're not going to drop the prices until the experience is not worth it anymore.
Correct.
And the only way they'll find that out is market feedback.
Correct. Speaking of dropping some things, Myron, let's get into another topic. We're going to kind of go back to last week because some stuff broke. We discussed the whole Mercedes Moné belt collector. She's up to 12 titles, etc. Friend of the show, Jack Jameson, was part of carrying those belts to the ring at Wrestle Dream. So that's kind of how it's kind of stemmed into the conversation. Since last week, Tommy Dreamer, Bully Ray had a conversation about it that I thought was pretty interesting. And basically, Tommy Dreamer said, hey, if I'm booking, I'm going to have her win the title, the AEW Women's World title at Full Gear, and then just drop all the other 12 titles she has, just drop them all.
Okay, drop them all. This is the only one that means anything to me.
Yep.
These have no significance.
These were all stepping stones to get to the one that I really, really wanted.
That's a heel move.
That's 1,000%. Would that not make her the biggest heel in the world? Because she's telling you the TBS title doesn't matter as much as that one, that the CMLL title doesn't matter as much as all of those indie promotions. None of these matter as near, which they shouldn't, by the way. And if it is the AEW Women's World title, should be the most important thing for her, right?
Does it increase the value of the AEW title or just the AEW title to her?
I think it does all. It does both. I think it shows that one title means more to her than 12 other titles combined.
Well, if I was Maple Leaf Wrestling, Syrup or whatever wrestling, and I put my title on her, I don't even know that she has that title, and she just drops it, I'd be pissed. I'd have to send. Are they going to mail the belt back?
Clearly, she would have to get them back to him. She's going to ship them the belt, or somebody's going to pick it up as they do a drive-by. But I mean, listen, if it is a heat moment, if that's what you're trying to accomplish, that's what I'm down for. Like, I agree. Now, yes, to come back to your question, what does that do for the indie people? That stems into kind of what we had a conversation last week. Remember, we said when you put your belt on her, did you know she was ever coming back? Did you know she was dropping it to a certain person? Was there any other story? You've kind of put yourself in the situation when you allowed this to happen, in my opinion. I don't like it for them, but sometimes, what did it accomplish other than it got you a headline every time she won a new belt? It got you a headline that she won your title.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's exposure, but exposure only counts in exposure bucks sometimes. It's hard to convert that currency to real bucks.
Yes. So we'll see how that plays out for them in a long time. But it does make her completely look self-absorbed. It makes her look like, it's all about her, and it was all about being that, thing. The flip side of that is, does it give AEW a bad look for, doing it to them? I don't think it's an AEW thing, in my opinion. But, it is what it is. We'll see.
Yes.
Yeah, time will tell. Well, man, that's all the stuff we want to talk about this week as far as the national stuff. But so that means it's only time for one other segment before we get on out of here this week. That's where we jump into the car, hit the road, and make the drives all across the state of Georgia this weekend. And it is a pretty stacked week for a Halloween weekend, man, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Specifically, we're going to do things a little different here. One Fall Wrestling, absolutely massive weekend. And it's not even a weekend. It's a massive 4-day straight.
How many shows they running?
They're running four. They're running Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
So what we're going to do to change this up a little bit, we're going to go through their shows first, and then we'll get to everybody else's shows day by day. They are starting Thursday. So this show drops on Wednesday. So Thursday, bell time is 6 p.m. down in Hampton, Georgia. I believe it is at the Echo Speedway. It's kind of a cool thing. They're teaming up with Henry County Parks and Rec, and they're kind of doing a free live wrestling event. It's Trick or Treat or Defeat. It's to help benefit the Tony Hawk Darby Allin skate park project they're doing down there. So kind of cool. That goes back to, by the way, special appearance supposedly as of right now by Darby Allin. So we talked about that earlier. You could catch him here in Atlanta. This is where. Pretty loaded card. Brady Booker, Billy Gunn, and Satnam Singh are going to take on Ilya Drago and the Superstars. Which should be a stacked match. How about this? Rocky Romero, birthday boy. I believe his birthday was this week. He's going to be in town, and him and Valentina Rossi are going to take on QT Marshall and Harley Cameron in a mixed tag match. Vari Morales versus Gravity for the Breakout Championship. There's your one worth the price of admission, folks.
Mm-hmm.
That, I promise you, that will clearly steal the show and be the highlight match of the night. As those two, go at it. Parker Lee is going to take on Grogan Scholes. That is right. The monster is back, and that's going to be cool to see. I love that guy. We haven't seen him since some time in AWE when they were around, so it's going to be cool to see this back. And shout out, by the way, Parker Lee. It's great. I'm glad he's back.
Yes,
he's healed up and back into the ring. So that is the Thursday show there in Hampton. Friday night. One Fall's running in Hartwell. That's basically, let's call it, folks, you're about as close to South Carolina as you're going to get and still be in Georgia, as it feels like up there in Hartwell. They're running a new venue. The bell time is 7 p.m. QT Marshall is going to take on Gravity in the main event. Sunny Days, who made his appearance, big match. He picked up a big win in Winder this past week against QT Marshall, and he's going to have a trick-or-treat match versus the Warden there at Hartwell.
Well, and in a cool.
And then in a triple threat, Angelica Risk, Hyena Hera, and Valentina Rossi in a triple threat women's match should be a barn burner. And that's all in a debut show just up the road in Hartwell.
I think they'll do well. I think they'll do well up there.
Saturday, they're going to be in Lawrenceville. That one's, at Slow Pour Brewing in Lawrenceville. Gravity's going to be in action. Plus, you're going to have Brady Booker, Ilya Drago, Vari Morales, Angelica Risk, Hyena Hera, and pretty much all the stars you come. Not a whole lot of the card had been fleshed out at this point, so not real sure as the individual matches go. But I have specifically been to this event. I love this venue. It's going to be a cool one. Yeah, outdoor venue, but it's a blast. Go check them out there in Lawrenceville on Saturday. Sunday, they're running a show in Avondale Estates. This is their second time back to the Little Cottage Brewery there in Avondale Estates. The bell time is 4 p.m. Remember, bell time's a little bit different on Sundays. QT Marshall is going to take on Shoot Taylor, and Angelica Risk and Valentina Rossi will go one-on-one on Sunday. Gravity's going to be in action. Plus, you got to assume all the champs are going to be there as typical, and it'll be a fun day there at Avondale Estates at the Little Cottage Brewery. So that's it, man. One Fall Wrestling, Thursday in Hampton, bell time 6. Hartwell, Georgia, bell time is 7 on Friday. Lawrenceville, bell time is 7 at One Fall, on Saturday. And then on Sunday, the bell time is 4 p.m. That is at Avondale Estate. So, again, I have to remind everybody, follow One Fall on their social media because, as you can clearly see, loaded week for them with a show. So
we had fun Saturday at that show. Yeah. It was a lot. That show at the brewery in Winder was cool, man. I love that.
Yeah. Now let's jump into the other shows that are running on Friday. On Halloween night, PCW, they're running their, a big Halloween show there in Conyers, Georgia. Bell time is 8 p.m. Basically, it's a huge fallout show from Turn the Page that they just ran this past week. Check out the Tapped In where Bryce Cannon and I went in detail about a lot of what went down at the Turn the Page show. New champs across the board. Dominic Stuckey, new PCW champion. Will Huckabee, new Dealer's Choice champion. Ravenna Zen, new, women's champion. Nathaniel Vanderbilt, Book of Destiny, he wins that. He can cash that thing in against any champion at any time. So new factions built, a lot of stuff going on.
Congrats, Huck.
Yep. And so the $1 million question is, coming out of Turn the Page, where does PCW go now that the landscape's completely shifted, whether it's through factions, whether it's through champions, all the above? Find out more. PCW, bell time 8 o'clock there in Conyers, Georgia. On Saturday, I think this is a show we're potentially going to be at. There's a lot of complications this weekend in the personal life, so we're not 100% sure. Southern Fried Championship Wrestling is going to be running in Monroe, Georgia. The bell time there is 7 p.m. About as loaded as a card that you're probably going to see.
Oh, yeah.
Hunter James will defend the Southern Fried Classics Championship against Zach Buchanan. The tag team titles will be on the line as Seth DeLay, Michael Walker take on Jaden Advane, Xavier Cross. Don't sleep on this team. This may be my pick to win those tag team titles because those two young guys are making some moves there. Nick Kalen's going to take on J. Alpha Miller. Huge opportunity for J. Alpha Miller, in my opinion. Bryce Cannon clearly pissed somebody off in the powers that be. He brought that up a little bit on the Tapped In show yesterday as he's going to be going one-on-one with Judias. Pat Roach back in the house as he's going to take on Bobby Moore after attacking Bobby at the last show, clearly setting up this match. Friend of the show, Grillo, is going to be taking on JT Paradox. I'm really interested in this match. Two, young talents, I think, with bright futures in the business. So, got a good eye for this one. Zach Mosley, creeping back into Southern Fried Championship Wrestling. He's going to go one-on-one with Billy Buck. And I'm sure there's plenty of questions of Billy Buck's got going on because we haven't seen him since. Jacob Ashworth, did the attack. Speaking of Jacob Ashworth, he will go face-to-face with David Manders and I guess explain his actions.
I can't wait to hear that. I can't wait to hear that, man.
Yeah. And last but not least, Dominic Stuckey. We're going to get an update on him. We haven't seen him since, the show prior to as well up at Crossroads. So we'll kind of see where that's going to play out. Again, that's loaded. Southern Fried top to bottom.
And Zach Buchanan is worth the price of admission. Go see them now before you have to see them on one of those big WE shows. You have to complain about the ticket prices, folks. That's what I tell people. If you don't like it, go to these shows because you're going to see some high quality matches, man. Love this card.
Yep.
Love this card.
Check them out again. They're in Monroe, Georgia, Boys and Girls Club, 405 Community Court, bell time 7 p.m. Also on Saturday, Premier All-Star Wrestling is there in Buchanan, Georgia. Their bell time is 7:30 p.m. Lots of chaos, lots of attacks, lots of behind the scene chaos, as we like to say. And now Joe Black and Stevie Ray Frost will take on Eddie Hendricks and AJ Black. Clearly been building. Joe Black snapped, has become unhinged, it appears. Stevie Ray Frost already fit that category, so he didn't snap. He's already unhinged. So now it's eager to see with these two, together as a force, what can AJ Black and Eddie Hendricks do to kind of, hold them off. Xander Seabolt, he will take on Ashton Martin. Da Silva will take on Sean Nelson. Huge opportunity for Da Silva in my book. Sean Nelson's been a staple over there in Premier and that whole West Georgia area. So I think it's a huge opportunity for Da Silva to put his foot down and submit him a place over there as well. Xander Orrick, he is going to take on a member of Greatness Inc. as he just continues to strive to get at one Richard Page. And, Richard Page just consistently putting one member after another in front of him in his way to keep him away. And as we all hope and pray that Xander Orrick gets through this gauntlet and can get his hands on one Richard Page.
Just snatch that little curly blonde hair off his head. Force him to get a new haircut and new hair dye.
Simon Sermon, Lethal Gains, the Wonder Boys, and a whole lot more there in action at Premier All-Star. That is again on Saturday.
Simon Sermon.
Jump to Sunday. RIPW, Renegade Independent Pro Wrestling. Bell time is 4 p.m. there in Atlanta, Georgia. The Dark Passion Assassins are going to take on the Northside Heroes, two teams that have been powerhouse staples there at RIPW. Alexandra Quinn, she will take on Rose Gold as she will defend the Queen's Crown Championship versus Rose Gold. J. Alpha Miller, he is the Southeastern Openweight Champion. He'll take on Keelan Cole. Jacob Johnson, he is your RIPW Social Media Shoutout Champion. He will take on Eddie Hendricks. And then, of course, the big stories coming out. Round 3 of the Battle of Atlanta is taking place there at RIPW in a triple threat match. Trevor Aon, Hakeem Young, and Tyson Maddox in a triple threat to move on to the next round. But Bryce Cannon maybe arguably draws the short end of the straw here, and he will take on Lamar Diggs one-on-one in the round 3 of the Battle for Atlanta. Kind of curious to see where these fall. Any picks on these two while we're sitting here and looking?
No. I can't pick Bryce versus Lamar Diggs because I really like both guys. It's a different match for the two of them. It's the Tip versus the Braun. Trevor Aon versus Hakeem Young versus Tyson Maddox. That's going to be crazy. Absolutely crazy. I can't give you one on that one either.
I'm going to go off totally just off the wall. I'm going to go Hakeem Young and Bryce Cannon advance into the tournament. For some reason, I get it. It's probably a homer pick with Bryce, but I like him and Hakeem moving into it, to one step towards the closer to in that tournament. So that's everything as far as the shows that we've got the info on for this upcoming weekend. Man, it's a pretty stacked card. I know we're still juggling a lot of things, trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Whether we're going to be somewhere on Friday or say Friday, we already are aware we have a personal commitment that we can't get out of. Wouldn't get out of. It's not trick or treating, folks. We're
damn it.
Yeah. We're not doing trick or treating. Yeah. We wouldn't try to get out of it anyway, but hey, we're going to be tied up on Friday. So Saturday, crossing our fingers, probably Southern Fried. Yeah, probably Southern Fried if I had to do away with it. And Sunday, I'm already shot, so I know there's probably no shows for me on Sunday. So, but we always say, look, you never know. Last minute, sometimes it just, we just jump in the car and go anyway. So I recommend follow them all on social media. Follow us specifically on social media. We do the Making the Drives post as well. That way you can see all the shows. And I try to, That's personal
the best way.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, you've got all the shows for this weekend on a Thursday. You just look at them. Oh, it's the posters. It's everything. People get Nick your posters.
I do my best. I appreciate the ones who do, but I do my best to go find them as well. It's kind of hard to keep up with. I think we're back up to 25 promotions again, trying to track them on a given basis. But hey, we appreciate everybody who plays along, and participates, and we can kind of share as much as we possibly can. So, well, man, before we get out of here, we would be remiss again, as we always like to tell you, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Sign up. I'm not going to make you listen to all the the extras and everything again. I wouldn't do that to you, but I do. Patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Sign up. I'm thinking about working something fun for the members over here the next couple months because we go into Christmas as well.
Members only jackets.
YouTube, subscribe. Tappedoutpod.com makes it easy to find. Subscribe. Turn your notifications on. I think I'm supposed to record a pilot for a new show this week. I'm working on those details hopefully today. So if that comes out, that's why you want your notifications on, because, yes, potentially a third show of some form or fashion. Maybe not even wrestling related. How about that? We're going to mix it up.
That would be cool.
So kind of just interested. But, again, also on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, anywhere you listen to your podcast platforms, check us out as well. We appreciate it across the board. Well, Myron, anything else before we get out of here this week?
Yeah, I hate to do this. I really do hate to do this. I got news today that Mike Rotunda is in the hospital. Somebody who signed an autograph for a little fat kid from Alabama at the Birmingham Jefferson Civic Center for free a million years ago while he was in his gear. So he was probably watching for a match. I hate to hear that about Mike Rotunda. Such a valuable person to the wrestling business and to my childhood. And then my personal friend, Abdullah the Butcher, the madman from the Sudan, has had some medical problems. Hearts and prayers go out for Abdullah. You got this. It's butcher time.
Yeah, man. It's always sad. As every year we get older, it seems like our people that we were fans of, they're obviously, we take it for granted that how much older than us they are. And now we're starting to see a lot of this, with some of the people that we looked up to and that we were fans of back in the day. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers always to those that, that need those. Well, anything else, man, before we get out of here?
That's all I've got.
Well, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.